guys, welcome back to Mind is Power Podcast with your host, Medina Niobe. Welcome back to this week's episode. I am so sorry, y'all. I have been away for 2 weeks. I just needed a mental health detox away from social media, and sadly this was included in that. But I feel so much better. I'm back and I'm better. I'll be back with my weekly content. I think it's just important to take that time away and, really just prioritize your mental health, because if your mental health isn't well, then it'll show in everything else. But anyways, on to what's important here. This week's episode is going to be about following our intuition. Right? Is that what we're...
just everybody's basis on how it is to be led by your feelings.
Yeah.
What everybody thinks.
What it means to us to be led by our feelings, and kind of understanding what that intuition looks like for us, your inner intuition. What does that look like? And knowing when you should follow your intuition, knowing when it's not, kind of just a girl talk and getting it out. Y'all already know how these conversations, it's fun, it's lighthearted, but we have the real, and we're just gonna talk and we're gonna be honest and vulnerable. So honestly, I'll start off with a guest by letting them introduce themselves, and then just kind of getting the conversation going from there. So let's go.
Okay, so hey guys, I'm Kaya. Me and Dina met a few months ago. I host Sincerely Kaya on YouTube and Instagram, so you guys can go and check me out. But I'm Kaya.
And I'm Charlie. Me and Dina met about a little under a year ago now. We were just talking about it earlier. And so we've been
besties
ever since. Bonded immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so let's get started.
So intuition, what is intuition? I would say most people describe it as just that inner voice that kind of drives them to do certain things like that.
Yeah. Inner voice, inner feeling.
Yeah.
Even when you can't put words to it, just kind of a feeling of when you should or shouldn't do something.
That gut feeling.
Yeah.
I think for me, that intuition is when you're getting ready to make a decision and you're I don't know, something just doesn't feel right. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't know if I should just listen to this. And then sometimes you're no, I have to do this. This feels right. I don't know why, but it feels right. And knowing the difference between okay, is this a good intuition? Is this a bad intuition? Is my intuition protecting me? Or is it telling me, no, just go do it. Take the risk and do it, or this is something you should be doing. And I think that's sometimes I struggle with. How do I know when I'm supposed to follow that little voice in my head or not,
I was just about to bring that up, that sometimes, there's what your intuition is telling you, and then you completely just don't want to do that or don't want to believe it.
Yeah.
Even though, maybe sometimes you should. And just kind of knowing, when you should and when you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a Christian, it's really tricky to, only call it your intuition. Because I feel there's so many different voices that can really drive us as far as what's going on in the inner. Recently, I've identified my intuition as, the Holy Spirit speaking through me as to what I'm supposed to be doing. So I know that, sometimes it can be, it directing me, the Holy Spirit itself. Or it can be, just my own personal, fleshly emotions that's, driving me to do certain things. And then it can be my heart driving me to do certain things. And I think it's just a matter of differentiating when those three are speaking to you or not.
You're so right, I agree with that. Yeah. I feel just where the different places intuition can also stem from. I feel it's not just maybe one place it can come from, but you're right, the head and the heart and the more religious side of things, where it could come from that as well. Yeah. I've never really thought about it that way, but that's a really good way to look at it.
I definitely agree, because it's I was struggling lately with something in terms of making better decisions. When you make a decision and it feels good in the moment, and then afterwards you're ugh, I don't feel good, I shouldn't have done this. It's understanding, okay, this thought that I have, is this being driven from a place of something good, or is this being driven from a place of like my ego, my pride, like me wanting to just do it feels good, but I know I'm not supposed to be doing this. Exactly. And differentiating like, okay, this feeling that I have to make this decision, is this a pure feeling, or is this like feeling like being birthed out of something negative? And I think it goes back into like what is being produced out of that decision you make, like,
where is it coming
and where is it coming from? Where's your state of mind in that moment when you're making the decision? So
is it coming from your head, your heart? Sometimes
yeah,
intuition led from the heart is
deceitful.
Yeah, it is, because it's just, I feel like the mind is also, you know, it has its moments, but the heart is just so emotion led, which isn't bad, but sometimes like you get in those moments like when it's really strong emotions and like, you know, like maybe what route you should go, but your heart is really just pushing you away from like what you know maybe you should do, and down a path that maybe isn't the best.
Yeah, like personally, I really feel like that's why religion and like, you know, Christianity specifically is very important, because the heart can lead you in so many different ways. And if you think about just how like Charlie just described it, what stops her from making those decisions from her heart is her mind curating what isn't of like the best thing or not. And I feel like when the mind is filled with the right morals, which comes from religion or Christianity, that's when you're able to curate what's right from the heart and what's not.
I was once sitting in a coffee shop in St. Louis. I was visiting a friend, and kind of going against what we just like said, but it was kind of fascinating seeing a different point of view. And we were sitting at a table, and it was just one of the longer ones, and it was one where other people come sit, kind of the same one. And this guy was sitting across from us, and we started talking with him, and he had said the same thing about how you should follow your heart because you can always change your mind. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting way to look at things. So I feel like so many people are like, oh, like, let your mind lead you because it's more logical. Versus, like, obviously, you know, following your heart is good, too, because you want to do what makes you happy. But sometimes it's a little too, like, emotionally invested. So I just thought that was, like, a interesting viewpoint to have. That, like, you should follow your heart just because you can, you know. Your mind is so swayed.
I do think the mind changes. But because it's so logical, it doesn't change as much as the heart. And the heart is way more emotional, and I feel like our emotions fluctuate way more than logic or morals, you know?
I think, like, to add my 2 cents in it, like, sometimes I'll find myself not making decisions because I don't want to follow my heart. And then I realize weeks later, no, like, I felt this way the whole time. Like, to be more specific, like, reaching out to someone you may love and being like, I really want to reach out and just say something. Like, I want to let them know how I feel, but I'm afraid, no, like, logically, that doesn't make sense. Like, I shouldn't be doing that. Like, this shouldn't happen. But then the time passes, I still want to reach out. But now it's like, was I, like, being too hard on myself at that time and not, like, showing myself a little grace and being like, no, it's okay to follow your heart sometimes, because like it's also like in that moment when you are listening to your heart, like, is that not a part of your intuition? Like, I really want to reach out and just let them know how I feel. Like, there's no harm in that, because I can walk away from the situation being like, I did everything that I could have done. But like, when do you know that you shouldn't like ignore that, even though your heart is like, oh, like I still want this thing, like I still want it. Like,
I would say, like, following your heart isn't bad to a certain extent. I feel like the mind should always curate how you follow your heart. You know, like, just because your heart says that you really, really have a problem with this person, that doesn't mean that you go and fight them. You know, I will let you know that I have a problem with you by letting you know that there's an issue, by talking that out, you know? So, like, that's me following my heart because I'm listening to the fact that I don't like this person. But my mind is telling me, okay, because I don't like this person, I don't need to go fight them. I need to go handle this maturely.
Kind of going back to, like, intuition, like, and sometimes it can be deceiving, I feel like. Sometimes it can almost be, like, led by, like, a fear of something. Like, sometimes, like, it's not coming from a place, like, completely clear-headed. And I feel like there's been a lot of times in the last couple months, heck, since the beginning of the year, where I feel like my intuition has been screaming at me not to do something. I'm like, but is this because I'm scared of getting hurt? And is it coming from there? Is it coming from a genuine like, you know that something's not gonna work.
I agree with that, because, and it kind of goes back to like knowing when to listen to your like mind versus your heart, because I feel like sometimes we can psych ourselves out of things because we're afraid of what could happen. Like, we're so focused on like, oh, could this go wrong, could this go right, is this good for me, is this not good for me? And I think we get so caught up on that we never even try to even learn, like allow ourselves to learn whether it was a mistake or maybe it was the best decision you could have made in your life. Like, we don't even allow ourselves to make that decision, period, because we're so like, we're trying to be so much in control, where we're like, no, I have to make I can't listen to that voice, that I don't know, like I have to be so sure. And someone who is religious, like trying, like for me personally, like making sure I am like, okay, well, even though I feel this way, what's God saying? But even then, like, it's still a struggle when knowing, like, okay, but what does that mean now? Like, you know, God is saying this, but like, I love this person, like, I want to reach out, like, I want to do this, but I'm like scared. And then I don't know, I think it's just such a complex thing to like really wrap your head around, because it's like your intuition can be clouded with so many things. Like, it's deeper than just like a right or wrong. It's like so many other facets. And like, how do you like you know, like shut everything out and only focus on like, okay, what should I do? Like,
I do think like with situations that y'all are talking about, context matters, you know? Because I feel like when I went through my own situation where it was like, you know, I wasn't supposed to go back to a certain person or a certain situation at one point in time in the past, but like now I am able to go back to that person. And the only difference between those two periods was the fact that in between then, I was able to work out the fear, the insecurity, and the issues that made me like unable to handle that person at that time in my life. You know? So I really feel like it's all about, I don't know where I was going with it.
Sometimes it's like the mind protecting, like it's like the mind is trying to protect the heart. Like, I was trying to think of like where these different like feelings can come from, because I feel like they always also
like they coexist.
They just get so jumbled. Like, it's just like hard to tell like what comes from where. Like, I think like with what you're describing, like it's almost like the mind is trying really hard to protect the heart, even though sometimes the heart just needs to go on and do something to learn on its own.
Like, and then it's like, what is your mind being fed with? Like, your mind can be fed with things of good fruit, like things of, you know, good wisdom, and whether you're religious or not, like whatever your mind is being fed with, what's the quality of that information. But sometimes like you just have to follow your, like, I feel like, I don't know, it's almost like they, like in certain situations you have to follow your heart to confirm if what you were thinking was right or not.
Because I feel like if you always just follow your head,
you don't know, like, you're like, are you really feeling fulfilled in your heart? Like, even if it's about kind of what you just said, like, you knew you were able to go back to that person and like at least experience them in whatever way that's good for you now. Like, you listen to, you know, as you said, you're like, you know, you listen to God and like getting that clarity from him, but at the same time your heart played a part in that too. And I feel like sometimes like we can get so caught up in like, okay, well, it says here do this, okay, I'm following everything to a T, like where you completely forget like it's okay to follow your heart sometimes too. It just depends on what is the fruit being, like what are the fruits of this, like are there good fruits or they're bad fruits. And like, we're humans, like we're meant to love and like follow our heart, and you know, it's just a matter of how you handle that. Like,
I was gonna say, like, that goes right back to how the mind curates the heart. Like, it's all about how you handle what your heart is leading you to. Like, just because I really love this man or like really want to be in this relationship, that doesn't mean that I'm supposed to jump in his bed or like, you know, do certain stuff like that.
Or like, it's kind of like what I think we were talking about this off camera, but no, we were, because the camera's on now, but basically like you ever, like, I was struggling with this, like I sometimes take other people's battles and make them my battle, like especially with someone I love or like in a relationship. Like, I'll find myself being like, okay, they're struggling with this in our relationship, is that my struggle too? So then when there's a time to make a decision on, oh, I should go see this person, I'm like, wait, no, I can't see them right this time or at this time because I'm struggling with this. No, I'm not. Like, that's their struggle. But like my mind is now being like filled with this anxiety and fear of something that doesn't even belong to me.
Well, with that, I think it is kind of important to identify what they're struggling with, because it reminds me of the saying that your environment can put back on you what was taken off of you.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, like, if I just got out of a place where, like, I can go and, like, not have sex, or, like, I can go and, like, not smoke weed.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that on my own. If I go into an environment where everyone's smoking and everyone's having sex, it's like, okay, I'm good, and I was good outside of this environment, but like now that I'm here, it's kind of hard for me to stand strong on that because it's all that's around me.
But when do you even know like you're getting ready to put yourself in a situation that's not good? Like, especially someone with like anxiety that I'm like working towards like fixing or making better, at least. Like, how do you know when you're like, okay, this environment is going to hurt me? Like, and it kind of goes back to your intuition. Like, oh, can I handle this environment? Like, I'm good. Like, I can handle this. Like, I can be put in a situation with my partner or with a friend, and I won't act on something that I'm working to not do. But, like, you get in that moment, and you're like, it's okay. Like, I love them. It's okay. Like, we'll be okay. Like, it's okay. Like, making sure.
What type of environment?
Like, whether it's, like, a one-on-one with, like, your partner, and, like, you're in an environment where, like, you guys both want to work on not being lustful with each other. Or, like, you know, certain things, and then you put yourself in that environment being like, no, I can handle it. Like, I know what we're doing. Like, we love each other. We got this. Then you're in the environment. It's like in your face, and you're now like, your heart is now like, you're only listening to your heart. It's like, no, like, we're good as we're cuddling. No, we're good as we're like, you know, like you're saying we're good, everything's good as you're doing the bad thing that you just said you didn't want to do anymore or work towards not doing it, like right now.
I would say, like, in that case, it's really important to pay attention to past behavior. You know, like, if you know that a certain act has went down each time you went to that man's room, it's like, maybe we shouldn't be in your room. You know, like, maybe
we should go out. Let's go get froyo.
Exactly. Like, paying attention to what environments or what mindsets produces certain actions and staying away from that mindset, you know? And you can't really predict the future, but you can keep a track record and pay attention to your past mistakes and learn from them, you know?
And I think that goes with friendships, too. Like continuous patterns in people. And being like, okay, like, this person is demonstrating a certain pattern. Like, I know what to expect with this person in this situation based off of a pattern in which you've done.
And sometimes it's like, you almost don't want to expect, you almost don't want to trust what you already know just because you have so much hope that they can be something more. Like, you have so, like, you're just so hopeful that maybe, just maybe, they've gotten, like, better.
Yeah.
That, like, maybe they can be what you need, maybe they can be the friend that, like, you need in your life, or the partner, or just anything.
Yeah.
The parent, you know, like, just, they can be what you need. And then it's almost like when they're not, it's just disappointing and even hurts more. Because you already put, because you just put so much more faith in that they could change.
And you, like, followed your heart to, like, see it. Like, you followed your heart and being like, no, like, I'm going to give you a second chance. Like, I'm going to look at you with fresh eyes.
Even if your mind's like...
no.
They've, like, made this reoccurring decision to not be a good facet of your life. Yeah. And it's just like your heart is like, but just, I know, it's like sometimes your heart just wants to believe the best.
Yeah,
like,
your heart wants to see the
especially
good.
with people you love. Like, your heart wants to see that they can be the person that you know that they could be, even if they don't want it for themselves. Yeah. And so when it's like, when they don't want it for themselves, when they're not able or don't want to be that person for not only themselves, but for, like, the people that love them, like, it almost just, it just, like, hurts.
It does
and it sucks, but
because there's a
hard
pain
lesson
in
to
it.
learn.
Yeah. I think in those moments, my bad.
No, you keep going.
Okay. In those moments, I think that goes back to what we were saying. Like, when you do have these desires from your heart, or these, like, you know, wants where you want to be led by your heart, it's really important for your mind to curate how you're doing that, right? So, like, just applying it to that situation, or, like, my own situation where I felt that way, like, say it's a man that like I really, really like. I really love him. I want him in my life. You know, my heart is like, yes, him now.
Mm-hmm.
But my mind knows that this person has a particular manner and like pattern in which they've treated me. So it's like now, okay, my mind is logically going to say, yes, my heart loves him and it wants him. But I know that this person has acted this way in the past. So I have to love you from a distance now. Mm-hmm. You know, that's one sense of curating how your heart feels. Or like, I may love you and I want to be around you, but like in the past I let myself be around you too much, and then you ended up doing this to me. So now I'm not gonna be around you as much.
So it's like you can follow your heart, but use your
it's like you
use your mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like you have to keep. I know it's hard, but like kind of like we've talked about in the same context. Like sometimes you have those people in your life that you know what they're able to give you, and you don't expect more. Not because you don't want them to be more, but just for your own well-being. Like, you just can't expect that from them.
At the moment.
At the moment. Yeah. And maybe eventually be able to give it to you, but you can't hold your breath waiting for it like you once did in the past.
You have to continue to grow even while wanting this from that person, because you never want to be, like, stagnant.
And
like,
you have to be able to accept, like, if you truly want someone in your life and you know that they're not able to be the person you need in your life right now, you just kind of have to accept what they are able to give you and just keep that expectation. Don't, like, if they get better, that's amazing.
That's great. but
you can't, I feel like you get to a point where, like, if your heart keeps expecting it, so your mind keeps letting your heart just go and, like, keep looking for them to be something that they're not able to be right now, it's just going to keep hurting you. And at some point, your mind just has to be like, no, we need to stop expecting this. Like, you need to just love them from a distance.
Okay, for the podcast.
And just and you just need to be like, okay, like, I love you and I want you in my life, and so for that reason I'm willing to just love you for who you are now, and
while still protecting myself.
Exactly.
Like, I love you in this stage that you're in now still, but having the wisdom to know that I shouldn't be in the crossfire. Like, I can love you through all the stages of your development and watch you from the sidelines, and when the time is right, for what I like to say, when God's will brings us back together, whether that's friend or not, then we will be equipped and we will be ready to then come back in each other's lives and do it the right way. But until then, I can still love you. Like, I can still love you from my heart and act out of love, but knowing that I have that discipline from my mind, because one, I'm cognizant of it now, so now I'm responsible for it, and taking that and being like, okay, I'm gonna love you from the sidelines, and when we're ready, I'll go on your side of the street, and then we can walk on the same side of the street.
And I truly believe that the people who are meant to be in your life will stay, and you just have to adopt that mindset with them. And well, it sucks still. Like, even you know, even knowing that maybe one day, like, they'll be, like, you know, the person you need in their life. Like, it's still hard, but like, the people that are supposed to be in your life, I fully believe will not be in it anymore.
That's right. That describes God's will right there. And like, just to bring it back to that, that's why I feel that Christianity and, you know, religion is so important, because it tells you how to curate your heart. You know, like, it tells you how exactly to set those boundaries, and when it is time to set those boundaries, how to love that person from a distance, you know. It shows you what to look for in people in order to see when you're supposed to set certain boundaries and stuff like that, in order to protect you from being hurt.
Like, having a blueprint that curates your mind that still allows you to protect your heart.
Yeah, but still act from your heart.
But still, like, acting from your heart, but in a way that doesn't destroy your heart in the process.
Exactly.
Like, we can act, and I think that kind of, like, I think we just figured out the topic, guys. Like, being able to, like, act from your heart and be okay with, you know, following your heart, but allowing what you've learned, whether it's through God's word or what you've already come across through the wisdom and, like, the situations you've already encountered, and allowing that to mold and shape how you make your decisions.
Exactly.
But the decisions can still be made out of love, in terms of, like, how you respond to that person, or, like, your kindness, your grace, but still knowing that you should still follow this, because I may love you, but I can't destroy my heart in the process. I have to keep my heart clean and pure. And I think that's something where it takes a lot of work, because sometimes we want to just listen to our heart. Like, and I think our heart can also confuse us with logic. Like, I think our heart can sometimes confuse us with, no, that's right. Like, you ever be in a situation and you're like, I really love him, so no, I can definitely handle that situation. I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, you're not. Like, no, you're not.
Room, in that bedroom, right in that bed, while you're cuddling that person, knowing you have a problem with looks.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I can be in here. Like, it's
Knowing
okay.
you're trying to run away from lust and you in that man room.
But
Like,
you asked his apartment, right? Like,
Yeah.
but you agreed to sleeping over. My bad.
Yeah, and knowing those decisions too out of love can be made to completely take people out of your life.
Yeah.
Because, like,
right. Okay, go.
maybe sometimes people like that need to be completely taken out of your life.
Let's not clock that one. That's for another day. Thank you. But no, yeah, seriously.
Just knowing that, like, even the people that aren't meant to be in your life can be taken out of it from a place to, like, love. And just knowing that, you know, well, they were good in your life for the time that they were in it, and they did teach you a lot, and they did get you through, like, some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that was all the purpose that they were meant to play in your life, and that, like,
not force
it's okay out of love to let them go and not force something that's not meant to be.
Yeah, and like not only is that out of love for them, but it's out of love for
yourself.
Yeah, to know that you're
Like
not
the
compatible.
the verse that I refer to when it comes down to this situation, just like moving from your heart, is like, protect your heart, for everything you do flows from it, you know? So it's like everything that I do, I'm gonna make sure that I'm protecting myself. That way, you know, the way I handle you in the first place won't be from, you know, a really hardened space, because I know that I'm doing the right thing.
And kind of like piggybacking to kind of piggyback on what Charlie just said, like, not extending someone's purpose in your life. Like, we all have a certain purpose in the people around you. Like, there's a purpose that I play in your life, and once that purpose is met, and and sometimes that purpose can be lifelong. Sometimes it can just be for a season. But once you get that, like, feeling, or that, or you prayed about it or whatever, and you get that, like, clarity that, okay, this person has fulfilled their purpose in my life, you have to free it. You have to say, like, you have to acknowledge, okay, I'm thankful for all that you were supposed to bring to my life, and I am going to trust that that is where we stop. And now if you have to come back in my life later on and fulfill another purpose, then that can happen. And I feel like sometimes we stay in situations that hurt us because we want to extend the person's purpose. Like, we want to extend it after it's already been called to you. It's done for right now.
After you know it's not maybe the best.
And after you know it's not the best anymore, the purpose is changing. It's becoming something else. Like, you've served your purpose in this situation. It's time to go and serve your purpose in something else.
Yeah,
like,
and that's why God is important, because He tells you those purposes. Like,
I didn't even know that one yet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Like, period. Like, that's the Holy Spirit moving through you. But
even then, it's still hard, because sometimes you just garner so much love for someone, even just throughout time, that it's just you get to this point and you know it's hurting you, but you can't help but think of all the good and you just want to get back to it.
And I think holding on to that good.
Hard. It's so hard, because it's like you want to hold on to all the good and just forget the bad.
Yeah, and that's
even though you know it's not good.
Plays its part. Like, I feel like that's how the heart plays its part. But one thing about it, being in a situation like that myself, like, the longer you hold on to it, it's like the worse it gets. Like, speaking of a past relationship, like, I looked to that person for so many different things, because I didn't know the purpose that he served within my life. I thought, he was supposed to be there for me this way, that way, this way, and
every season.
Every single season. And it's like, no, he wasn't supposed to do that. So now I'm asking for too much. And that produced a sense of resentment, right? And that drew us apart.
It's like you have that issue. And you find they're just like, I need to get a new one. Like, it's just not working anymore. It's not worth it. It's not worth the pain. It's not worth all this. Just
when I can get a new one.
When there's many other options out there. It's just not.
Yeah.
And so you get this new shoe, and then who knows, maybe a couple years down the road, you will find your favorite shoe again, and it'll be in your size, and it won't hurt you anymore, and you can wear it again, and it works for you.
Yeah.
And maybe don't wear it all the time. Maybe only wear it sometimes.
Yeah.
But it still works. Like, I think it's really important because it's like people can come in and out of your life. And they don't have to be permanent fixtures, though.
And I think that's good, too, like how you said, maybe that's not the only shoe I'll wear all the time. You know, like that speaks to only letting people serve the one specific purpose
Yeah, like
in your
stop
life.
letting them serve everything. That's
Like
not
stop
what they're meant.
looking to them for everything. Like in that past relationship I was in, like I had a lot of issues with my dad. I had a lot of issues with my family and like all these different things. So not only was I looking to this person as a boyfriend, but I was looking to him as a friend because I didn't have any friends at the time. I was looking at him to cover things my dad should have been doing, you know. I was looking at him as a distraction from what I had going on in my family, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, just you have to recognize and be aware of the purpose that certain people play in your life, and hold yourself accountable to them.
Not that they can't be all those things, but they shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have
to be. They shouldn't have to.
It shouldn't be the expectation that they are that.
No, like you, and even if they are, even if you do feel like you're able to go to them about everything, they shouldn't be the ones to solely bear that.
Yeah, because
that's not fair to them.
Not only is it not fair to them, but they will fail you. They will eventually fail you. Like, each time I went to that boy for those things, he wasn't able to stay on the phone with me all night. He had work in the morning. Some days it was the weekend, so maybe he could have done that. But other days it was like, okay, I need to go to sleep. And it's just like, you're steady looking to that person for the same things, and they just won't be able to sustain you that way every single time.
That's why it's so important to have, like, yes, it's important to have that person you can go to for anything. But it's also
not
all the time. Exactly. Yeah. Because it's like, even just having multiple people that you can go to for anything you ever could want.
Yeah.
You know that they'll always be there for you. You can talk to them about anything. Like, they're just there for you.
Yeah.
And obviously boyfriends and like significant others have, you know, they have more duties than like a typical friend does.
Yeah.
But to also then have like your friend and then your boyfriend and then just different people you can go to that you trust.
Yeah.
And, like to
and
not
family.
Keep it.
Yeah, like your mom.
And family too.
Sister.
But like just people that you have, you know, I feel like typically like, I don't know, at least for me, like I don't know, like typically the person I will be going to is, you know, a friend or my boyfriend. And I do go to my mom and like my grandma. But like typically like the people you choose and like the people that are in your life, like I feel like your mom, your grandma, like they can be that for you. But it's like those other people that also, you know, have their own things that they're not going to be able to be 100% of what you need all the time whenever you need it.
And me personally, like, that's why I went to God, you know, because I lost that person that I was going to
for everything.
And like the more I got to know God, I was like, this is who can sustain me 100% of the time, 100% of ways, anytime I need it. Like, God don't got work in the morning. Like, like he will listen to me talk like all night. You know, like if I'm crying, like not only will God listen to me, but He will make me feel better. Who do you know that can like talk to you and make you feel better?
I've experienced that.
Yes,
that's real.
He is the only sustainable thing for real, you know. And then like He places people in your life that serves a specific purpose that He'll be able to move through, you know. But like He's the only one that does it 100%.
And I feel like that's why it's so important to, at the end of the day, do what's best for you, is because other than God, like the only person who's going to be there for you 100% of the time is yourself.
Yeah, because you always got to deal with it.
And I will say this, like kind of what you guys kind of just said this, like I used to use people as a distraction from what I was going through. And I noticed that about myself this year. Like when I was going through things that weren't the best, hey guys, what do you guys want to do tomorrow? You guys want to hang out? You want to hang out? I'm not being pure in that. My intentions are not pure. I'm not like my goal isn't to just spend time with friends. My goal is to run away from what I'm dealing with and using my friends as a way to escape. But once that hangout was over and I'm back in my bed at night, I'm by myself still dealing what I tried to run away from. those were the nights where I'm like, okay, this is not sustainable. I can't use my friends as a distraction. I need to deal with it, but it's also not fair. And it's something we kind of like, we're trying to figure out, like, not making your friend feel like a burden of all your problems. Like, I love my friends to the point where it's like, I can't fill your cup with all of my, like, bad. Like, I have to take some of that to God, for me, like, to God, and let him help me and heal me and restore me. It's not to say that I can't go to, like, Charlie or Kaya for, like, advice, or, like, you know, I'm gonna cry or I'm gonna vent, but I shouldn't be calling my friend every single day, like, crying gruesomely, because at some point I'm now transferring my heaviness onto my friend. Like, I feel like sometimes we can feel the heaviness of others and it becomes that burden. Like, and I'm not saying completely not go to your friends, or, you know, like, that's what they're there for, but it shouldn't be to the extent where, like, you're only looking at this friend as something to vent to when you're sad, or something to, you know, mend or distract you from. And I feel like that can be equally as dangerous too, like, identifying when is it a time to, like, stand on my own and, like, I make myself heal and feel, then, like, use my friends as a way to escape, because that's not fair to them. That's not fair to your friends to do that either, or your partner. Like, no one should be used as a distraction. Like, that's just not okay.
Because it can also just be detrimental to you too, because, like you were saying, at the end of the day, like, you're not going to be able to be with someone 24/7.
Exactly.
So, you know, when you come back after a long day of hanging out with your friends and
like,
just distracting yourself, I remember doing that when I broke up with my ex. Like, I would literally, like, distract myself all day, and it was the only thing. And even then, sometimes, like, it didn't really help to be with them. Like, it was it was the best thing that I could do at the time. Like, I feel like, because at that time, like, it really is just time that heals you. Like, it is. There's quite literally, like, nothing anyone can really say, like, to make you feel better, you know? Like, you can go to your friends. I remember going to my friends so much, like, when I finally did start opening up a lot about it, and they
run out of things to say that'll make you feel better.
There's nothing really to say that really, like, genuinely helped, and all of a sudden I was like,
sometimes you gotta break
you're right.
Prayer.
And so, like, you know, it really is just something you have to deal with and, like, learn on your own, and just, you know, kind of go through. And, like, not saying that, like, the time with my friends wasn't, you know, very healing, to know that I had people that cared so deeply about me.
But they don't have the power to fix you.
They don't. And they can listen, and they can be there, and they can be a shoulder to lean on. But they shouldn't be the only thing that's keeping you afloat.
Yeah.
You should also be doing the work. You can't 100% of the time just be using them as a crutch and then not know how to function without them, because that's when it gets detrimental. Because people, you can go to your friends, but you should also be able to stand on your own. Because if you're just going to your friends, and nothing they're saying help, you don't care to help yourself, then you're not going to get better. And that's when it gets, like, bad for your friends, bad for you. And, you know, you'll have those friends in your life too that will let you do it. Because they care. But, you know, sometimes it's really not for the best. And, like, at the end of the day, your friends just want to see you happy. And sometimes, like, you just, you know, want to, like, help them in a way you know how. Like, and sometimes, like, they're still figuring out the way that they need to be helped. And I feel like you can't really help them fully if they don't even know how they can be helped.
Exactly.
Because you don't, your intuition, like, that voice in your head is still jumbled up. Like, you don't even know what you really need to be doing right now. Like, you're still confused. You're still praying for clarity or asking for guidance. So how can you expect another human being who is bound to fail? Like, and I think it kind of goes back to, I forgot who said that, but, like, I think it was you. I think both of y'all said it, but, like, humans are going to disappoint you.
Yeah, every time.
There's going to be some point in our friendship where I disappoint you, you disappoint me. We're going to, it's bound to happen. And I feel like when you're so dependent on another human being, they're going to disappoint you. And I feel at some point. So to allow that person to be your everything, like, that is it. Like, you go to them for, like, therapist, God, like, they become your God almost. Girl. Like, when they disappoint you, now you're mad at the world. Baby, because you was going to another human being. Like, there's nothing another flawed human can do to save you. I can't save you. I can't, like, heal you. Like, that has to come from within and from something higher. And that is not, you know, like, nothing of this world can fully heal you. That has to come from within. whatever that looks like for you.
And
for
that's
me,
really
God.
hard to learn.
And that's really hard to learn.
And like that is really hard to learn. So like imagine trying to learn that.
And go through it.
And like imagine trying to like learn that and then also then have to like help your friend through it.
Yeah.
And then but then sometimes I don't know, it's just hard because like no matter like what position you're in that, like I'm sure there's been times where like I've relied on my friends a little too heavily. Yeah. Or, you know, times that I didn't. But still at the end of the day, like being conscious of it I think is really important.
And knowing that like at the end of the day, like it's okay that we can't do everything and be everything for everyone. And that others can't be everything for us. It doesn't
mean you care less.
It doesn't mean I care less about you. It doesn't mean that my boyfriend or my husband or my friends, it's just they can't be everything for me. Like only like for me, only God can be that for me. I have to look at people for what they can give me and be appreciative of that. Like honor that, be like happy and satisfied with that, because at the end of the day, like I can't look at you as my savior and like my be all great, like those relationships never end up okay because they become so codependent. And just differentiating when your heart is leading you to think that and when your head is like I'm trying to protect you right now, you're not conscious of this, you can like, you know, I know you love that person, but even on the opposing side being like, hey, I love you, but I don't think that I can, you know, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think I can enable you in this situation. I love you enough to tell you I'm not going to enable you and let you use me as your be all everything, because that's not going to help you in the long run. What happens when I have to go to work or when I want to go to sleep?
It's also just not like if you expect that person to be your sole like pillar of support, what are they going to have left for them? Like if you're going like expecting 100% of this person all the time, what do they have left for themselves?
That's when it goes back to that cup. They're pouring all of themselves in your cup, and you're not pouring anything back in their cup. And it's not that like you should be forced to because you're in a place where you can't, but being like, hey, like I don't want you to have to pour all your stuff in my cup. Like maybe a little bit of juice, but all your juice.
Yeah, just how like they say in a relationship, kind of similar, but like sometimes relationships aren't just like 50-50. Sometimes one person can only give 20 and the other person has to give 70, but then sometimes that person who could only give 20 at one point is able to give 80, and that other person, you know, maybe is just not in the right headspace, or you know, maybe they just don't need to right now. And sometimes like
you guys can both do 100 at the same time.
Like it really is just, you know, and maybe both of you have nothing, and that's when you really just have
God.
You guys really just have to like reflect inwards at that point.
Because it's like, who's gonna fill your cup now? Like it's 0% both ways.
Like no.
But sometimes you just have zero. Like you have nothing to give anyone else. Like, and sometimes you're in a relationship where they're just doing the best they can at this current moment in time to keep themselves afloat.
Because that's what we're all doing. We're just trying the best we can to keep ourselves afloat. No one has life figured out. Like, we're young now, and I'm sure in 20 years we're still gonna be like, I'm figuring it out. Like,
I don't think there will be a day in my life that I have any idea what I'm doing.
Like, I'm never gonna be completely like, no, I'm like, I know exactly what's going on. No, you don't, because you're constantly growing and evolving. And I feel like it just goes to show, like, we're constantly evolving, and life is gonna be messy, and it's gonna be fun, it's exciting, and a roller coaster of different experiences and situations, but just making sure that as you grow your wisdom, being responsible for how you respond to situations.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, as far as how your life is gonna look, I think that Christianity, or like God, He shows you the blueprint of how you're supposed to be living your life. So it's not really a matter of saying, like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's a matter of saying, I don't know what I'm doing. But because He's given me this blueprint, like, I'm gonna follow that because I genuinely know. I have no idea. You know,
I don't know what's going on up here.
I don't. Like, but you have the instruction. You know, so like, let me follow you, and then that kind of goes into what I was gonna say, like.
But being humble enough to follow it.
Exactly, like humble yourself. Like, no, you don't know how. You don't have any idea.
Yeah.
Like, we all know. Like, we don't know what we're doing. So let me go to something higher than me. That created me, my manufacturer, to like actually see how I'm supposed to be doing what he intended me to do. You know, and I think that goes back to what I was about to say, which was like, what is feeding your mind? You know, like, what is telling you right from wrong? What is telling you that you're depending on that person too much? What is telling you that you need your cup filled? You know, like, what is telling you shouldn't really be around that person because they bring out this in you? You know, like, you can't decide that for yourself because we all just admitted we don't know what we're doing. We're just going off of what just happened yesterday. You know, like what my grandma just told me, and she doing this for the first time too. So.
I think it's crazy when you look at these, like, you look at, like, your grandparents and you look at these, like, you know, just these people who have so much life, and you're just like, and you think about it and you're like, they're still living their first life too.
Exactly.
Like, we're all living for the first time.
This is their first time living as well. So they could be 40 years older than me, but this is still their first time doing this exact moment in their life too, and they're still figuring it out.
Yeah. I think that's, like, I literally looked at my mom differently the moment I came to college. Like, oh my gosh. I looked at you as if you had everything figured out. You're supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be the mom that made no mistakes, forgetting that my mom's human. Like, this is your first time living. You just had kids. But, like, this is your first time living, too. And I think showing everyone grace in that and knowing at the end of the day, like, we have to depend on something bigger than ourselves. And allow us to be humans who make flaws and who mess up. But relying on God and relying on, like I said, something bigger than yourself. Like, God is bigger than me. Like, sorry, guys, my camera died. I guess we got too caught up in the conversation. But anyways, it kind of just taught me that, like, it's our first time living. Like, we're all living for the first time, and we just have to show ourselves grace and know that we can't solve everything, and that's okay. And you have to lean on God and sometimes handle things on your own. So yeah.
That's good. And like we kind of just said, even the people around us are living their lives for the first time. So even within that and depending on them, it's kind of hard to go to them all the time because they got to fill their cups too.
Yeah. And you're never going to know everything in life. You're never going to know exactly what you should do or how you should do it or anything. But what just matters is you try and that you learn and
and you go to the right thing for wisdom. In my opinion,
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode with Mind is Power. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. That helps me so much, especially with growing this channel. I will see you guys next week, and please, please, please feel free to let me know in the comments if you enjoy these videos, and let me know if there's any topics you guys would like me to, you know, speak on. This account is for you, and I want the healing to happen, like, as I heal, to help you heal, and we just heal together and change our mindsets to become better people and have stronger minds to be equipped for situations.
And from Kaya, I'm going to leave you guys with this one word. Healing is not a feeling, but a mindset. It's never linear. Healing is a healed perspective. And the way that you correct yourself is a sign of your perspective being in the right place.
I like that.
so that's good.
Do you have a nugget? You have a nugget?
No.
Okay, well, thank you guys.
Nothing that comes to mind.
Well, thank you guys. I love you so much. And we're already growing so fast. We're on a road to 100. We are almost halfway there. So I love you guys so much. And bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Mwah.